fans and booby fans, male and female, it is time to rejoice because the cultiest of cult movie series has officially been released on UHD, thanks to the good people at Troma, MVD Entertainment, and Vinegar Syndrome. We have got Toxic Avenger 1, 2, 3, and 4, and today we are going to be unboxing and reviewing this gorgeous new set.
First up, the packing comes in a cardboard box, very similar to one that a company like Arrow would include for their standard box set releases. We've got some embossing across the title and Toxie's face, and it doesn't look like this is in a matte finish or a gloss finish. It almost seems kind of like a satin finish. Quick look at the top there, the side, the back, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the discs. So let's pop these out. First up, we've got the double-sided postcard from Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hertz, and it said this was supposed to be signed. Their signatures are up top here, and I am pretty confident those are printed on. Just in case anyone thought these were going to be actual signatures, I'm almost 100% confident these are printed onto the card. First up, the Toxic Avenger with the classic artwork on the front, a quick look at the back, and the inside, we have got the Blu-ray and the 4K disc on the left. And next up, part 2. Classic artwork once again. Quick look at the back, and then Blu-ray and 4K disc again. Now for part 3, and I don't know what happened here, but clearly this is printed much darker than the original poster looked. But there's your look at the back of the case. And the inside, once again, Blu-ray and the 4K disc. Last up, Citizen Toxie, classic artwork again, quick look at the back, and the Blu-ray and the 4K disc. And also, none of these have any type of reversible artwork. So now, before we get into my review of the restorations, let's take a trip out into my parlor and pop in the Blu-ray disc to check out all the bonus features. Starting off with the first movie, of course, let's pop over to the bonus features. Open that menu. We have the old Blu-ray introduction by Lloyd Kaufman. We have 2 commentaries that were ported over. We have some interviews, first with Jennifer Baptiste, who played Wanda, Robert Pritchard, who played Slug, Mitch Cohen, who played Toxie, Dan Snow, who played Cigar-Faced, and Michael Herz. Then on the right, we've got a 6-minute long kind of introduction interview with Mark Torgel, a 40 Years of Troma featurette, and now is actually their 50th anniversary, a behind-the-scenes gallery, and then trailers for Toxie 1, 2, 3, 4, and Return to Nukem High. And I actually worked on that movie for about a month as an extra, back when it was just one movie, and its title was Return to the Class of Nukem High. If you watch that movie and you see a guy either in a big sombrero during the party scenes or walking around the school hallways with a giant boombox, that's me. But anyways, the 4K disc also has new introductions by Lloyd that run about 1 to 2 minutes each for each movie. So let's move on to Toxie 2. Let's get on over to the bonus menu, open that up. We've got another commentary that was ported over along with the Blu-ray introduction by Lloyd Kaufman, At Home with Toxie, kind of a spoof documentary about Toxie and his day-to-day life, an interview with Lisa Gay, Toxie on Japanese TV, a 3-minute behind-the-scenes spot of when Toxie 2 was shooting in Japan, the original DVD intro, the Radiation March short film from Lloyd, which is less than 1 minute, 40 Years of Troma tribute once again. And then over on the right, we have got more trailers for Toxie 1, 2, 3, 4, Troma's War, and Return to Nukem High Volume 1 and 2. And now, let's pop in part 3. Over to the bonus menu. Pop it open. We have the introduction with Lloyd Kaufman. We've got more commentaries ported over, including one with Joe Fleischaker. Troma about Return to Nukem High's premiere at the Museum of Modern Art. 40 Years of Troma once again. Make your own damn horror film. Kind of an on-set diary of Lloyd going to cameo in a movie with Bill Moseley and Kane Hodder. A Halloween Carol short film, Rabid Granny's The Infomercial. And then trailers for Toxie 1, 2, 3, 4, Return to Nukem High Volume 1 and Volume 2, and then Radiation March once again. And then lastly, let's move on to Citizen Toxie. To the right,
open up the bonus features, and we have got Apocalypse Soon, the making of Citizen Toxie. And if you have never watched a making of documentary for a Troma movie, they're even better than the movies themselves. The crazy shit that happens on set. Like I said, I was on a Troma set for about a month. I got to go home at the end of the day. The main cast and crew did not, and just the stuff that I would see during the day was insane, so I can't imagine what happened after the shoot wrapped for the day. Anyways, we've got an intro by Lloyd. We have got 3 commentaries ported over. Troma's tribute to Lemmy, the 40 Years of Troma tribute once again, then trailers for Return to Nuke My Volume 1, Volume 2, and Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies. So that is all the bonus features that come with this set. Now let's head back into my library and talk about the restorations. Vinegar Syndrome was the team behind these restorations, and I gotta say, I was worried about watching a movie like Toxic Avenger in 4K. I figured the special effects wouldn't look as good. I thought it might take away from the griminess of the movie, and I am very happy to say that is not the case in the slightest. Specifically for the first movie, we'll get into the sequels in a little bit, but Toxic Avenger 1, the makeup effects have never looked better. The gore effects have never looked nastier. Especially Toxie, the level of detail that you're finally able to see in his makeup is unbelievable. The paint variations, the textures, the color differences, I have never seen Toxie look so good. And the blood and the gore, like I said, it makes everything look worse in the best way possible. Some of the violence, especially the 12-year-old head crushing, has always been very rough to watch, and nothing is taken away from seeing this in 4K. Surprisingly, the movie is not as grainy as I thought it would be. I figured it would be something kind of like Texas Chainsaw, very heavy level of grain, but it honestly wasn't that grainy. There's still a lot of grain throughout the movie, and it does fluctuate from time to time, but the amount of detail that is visible now is unbelievable. Especially the greens in the movie. And something I was worried about is when we saw the little teaser of how the movies were going to look. The short clip that Lloyd showed from the first movie looked really oversaturated. And I'm not sure if that's why this set got pushed off a month. Possibly it was to correct that, because now the movie does not look like that. It looks like that more on the menus, but not the movie itself. And green is really a color that comes off the screen. But only the unnatural green colors, not the greens of trees and grass. The greens of the toxic sludge is what really pops off the screen. It's not quite like Dayglow Reanimator green, but it is ultra green now. And I have only seen this movie on VHS and DVD, so the jump from the 21st anniversary non-anamorphic DVD that I'm used to watching to 4K is unbelievable. But it is not perfect. When they say 4K restoration, I'm guessing that related to the new 4K scan and color correction. Because like I said, detail is unbelievable, black levels are very deep, but there is a lot of dirt and speckling and print damage throughout the movie. And I wanted to show you some examples of some of the heavier print damage, because they are full-on splices and cuts and blotches, usually somewhere near an edit, but none of that was digitally cleaned up. And if any was, there was definitely a lot that was skipped over or left out. I'm assuming that the film elements were not in good condition, considering the movie was shot 40 years ago this year. But I just want to warn you about that. This is not a pristine restoration. But regardless, even with that damage, I could not believe how good Toxic Avenger 1 looked. Having said that, moving into Toxic Avenger 2 and 3, I think we can talk about those at the same time since they were essentially one movie split up into 2. Even though they are my 2 least favorite movies of the franchise, I think most people can agree with that, they are the ones that look the best. Watching through the movies this time, I did not notice any print damage at all. There might have been a little bit of speckling and dirt here and there, but the films look extraordinarily good. And that's probably relating to the budget also. The first one cost a few $100,000. The second/third one cost a little over $2 million. So I was expecting it to look better and cleaner, which it does. And it's the same thing with the level of detail. The level of detail is really good. I do think that the first movie looks more detailed. Second and third movies look cleaner. Same thing with the colors. The blacks are extraordinarily deep, add a lot of depth to the image. Colors are very natural, and especially, once again, greens come off the screen, and also a lot of Claire's pink that really comes off the screen. That's very vibrant pink. And I think they're just the two cleanest looking movies in the Toxic Avenger franchise. Especially the scenes in part 2 in Japan. And a lot of that can be lent to the lighting of certain scenes or the landscapes. And then at the same time, in part 3, we have got certain scenes at Apocalypse Inc. that look like they're pulled right out of an Argento movie, specifically Suspiria or Inferno, the rich blues and reds and purples. They're shots you wouldn't expect to see in a Troma movie. And now in 4K, they look amazing. There is one shot looking up the spiral, I guess it's a spiral tower at Apocalypse Inc. I swear that shot could be lifted and put right into Suspiria, and I wouldn't even be able to tell the difference. But unlike the first movie where the makeup effects really hold up, these new transfers really show off some of the things that don't hold up in part 2 and 3. Specifically part 3. Toxie's makeup still looks good, a lot of the gore effects still look really good, but if we really want to focus on a scene, let's say near the end of part 3, Toxie's meltdown still looks nasty, but that is surrounded by two pieces of work that are just really not good. You've got human Melvin's buck teeth, which have never looked good, even in VHS. I don't know how goofy those were supposed to look, but in 4K they're horrid. And then the devil's makeup. You'll get close-ups of his face where you can see the makeup just peeling away from his eyes. And it is extraordinarily obvious. But these were the two goofier, campy, more cartoony entries in the franchise, and I'm willing to overlook that. Because I'm still more of a fan of the rawness in part 1 and part 4. So now let's talk about Citizen Toxie. This came at the time when Troma was having its renaissance in the late 90s and early 2000s. It was right after Terror Firmer came out, so they were hitting an extreme high, and all of that energy was brought over into Toxic Avenger 4. And it is a movie that I like almost as much as the first Toxic Avenger, just because of how insane it is from start to finish. I remember when this movie was first coming out, I was 10 in 2000. I'd already seen parts 1, 2, and 3. I was waiting on 4, and from what I heard, it was so insane they could not even make an R-rated version of it. And to this day, I'm not even sure if there is an R-rated version of it. But I still love it. It's not as insane as Terror Firmer, but it is one of the most insane Troma movies Lloyd has ever directed. Having said that, it has never been a good-looking movie to me. And seeing it in 4K solidifies my opinion of that. One of the biggest problems, I think, were the lighting setups in the movie. It really just seemed like they threw up 1 or 2 lights right in front of the actors and just blasted them at their faces. Because for the majority of indoor scenes, you can just see this heavy black shadow projected right on the wall behind them. And honestly, I'm very disappointed with how the 4K looks. When I first put it in, I even had to double check to make sure I didn't accidentally put in the Blu-ray for when I was reviewing it. Because I was watching and I'm like, this doesn't look good. I thought maybe it looked like alright DVD quality at best, but then you would get certain scenes, outdoor scenes, that would look much better than indoor scenes. You get the opening indoor scene in the school, and it really did not look good. But then it cuts to an outside shot, and it looked like a pretty decent 4K quality shot. I would say the majority of the movie looks like good DVD at best. Some of it looks like good Blu-ray quality. You do get better color in the movie, but it does still seem pretty washed out. You do get better detail, but it's not really that noticeable. I've only ever seen this movie on DVD as well, so I was expecting a pretty big jump like with Toxie 1, but to my eyes, it's really not there. But it is there enough to show off that some of the effects don't really look that great. The first time we see Toxie, right after his transformation, there's a nice close-up of him growling at the camera, and you can see that the makeup is completely peeling away from his lips. Like, this is the first shot of Toxie in the movie. It's like, it does not look great. Like I said, I still love this movie. I just don't think it looks good. And I don't think any of it looks like 4K quality. But we have got Toxic Avenger, the best we've ever seen it. We have got Toxie 2 and 3, the best we've ever seen them. And then we also have Citizen Toxie, best we've ever seen it, but a very, 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 very small improvement over what I have been seeing for years on DVD. So this set, it does get a full-on endorsement from me. Just be warned that 1, Toxie 1 has that print damage, so if there ever is another restoration of this in the future, that is something that could be cleaned up digitally. And Citizen Toxie just is not a great looking movie. But I am more than happy to own this set. I am 33 now and have been a fan of this franchise for over 23 years and highly recommend this.
And that is going to wrap things up today. Hope you thought this video was informative. If you have any questions about this release, be sure to ask them down in the comments below, because I'll do my best to try and answer them for you. And as always, I'll wish you pleasant days and spooky nights. Until next time.